Hello, lighthearted Rainbow Tribe. We gather once again into the heart of truth to open our hearts, our souls, our bellies, our minds to the silence of our inmost heart, that there might be peace in this world. Goey. Goodness. Once again, using the breath, coming into this beautiful, clear, open sky, mirroring the clarity and openness of our being. Anrael here, coming to you live from the middle of nowhere, now here. This coming alive in us is no simple matter. I mean, there is a deep simplicity in simply being, opening into the experience and allowing it to unfold. That way of being doesn't tend to happen all that easily, because we are so conditioned to do, to think, to figure out, to do, to solve the problem, to get on with it. In this profound transformation of consciousness that I've also called an evolution for our species, from the Homo sapien, which is pretty well locked down in a materialistic way of being right now, utilizing the mind, the sapiens, the capacity to know, the prefrontal cortex, to survive. When we begin to die to ourselves and realize eternal life, and that becomes embodied, our system shifts from striving to survive to living to make a contribution, whether one survives it or not. That's the gift of extravagant love that we spoke of earlier. Coming to that place where that is the naturalness of our being, the energetics of our system and the functioning of our system undergoes a radical transformation, not unlike the caterpillar to the butterfly. the caterpillarness of us gets eaten up, literally. It dissolves entirely, all of its structures and formations, as those imaginal cells, that's what they're called, of the butterfly begin to take precedence in the system. This all happens in the cocoon, in the chrysalis. Yeah. And then what comes forth was never even fathomed by the caterpillar. What we discover as our frequencies and energies begin to shift and change, as this transformation occurs in us, mentally, emotionally, physically, in our psychology, in our relationships, in everything that we think, feel, say, and do, what has lain in some cases dormant, but in some cases, has come exploding out of us at different times under different stressful situations. Anything that's resonating in the lower frequencies of disharmony and separation comes to the fore to be met, to be held in a kind space, and allowed to move, to release its formation, to shift. And there's lots of people out there offering lots of things about how to do this, how you get in there, how you go after it, and it's like, that's a violence unto your system, trying to get it to be somewhere it's not. And a lot of times what people find is that ultimately their system shuts down and or they can't go forward. They just can't continue in that manner. To me, that's good news, because it's another surrender. It's another moment of futility. The ego can't do this. It's a recognition that the ego has gotten a hold of spiritual progress and is running and dominating it, and you've got a spiritualized superego jumping all over your case, telling you you're just not perfect enough or good enough or whatever. And so, the whole psychological system of separation has jumped on the spiritual bandwagon and making people nervous and miserable. The warrior's heart has the capacity for gentleness, tenderness, and the courage to be exposed, to let these places inside oneself that have not been touched or have been told have to be different, to come forward and simply be. With a kindness, a sympathy for the self that recognizes this human gig it's no small matter. It's huge to arrive in a human life. And especially at a time like this where the darkness is still so prevalent and the transformation is underway. To be the full human being, inclusive of the transparency through which the vibrant aliveness, the full frequencies of beingness can embody and express, be alive, means living in a natural, simple, and organic way. Letting life be our teacher and guide, letting our life experience be the means by which we unfold ourselves. I was reflecting again this morning about kind of the way things have been going in our culture. And people getting the idea that they need some kind of spiritual practice and jumping off into all of these beautiful offerings that are out there and having these extraordinary openings and experiences because they're in a situation where the vibrational frequencies are getting strong, are very strong, and the safety and the sense of openness is there that allows the system to relax. And people open, and yet these places inside that are vibrating in the lower frequencies have not been held, have not been allowed to be. They've been bypassed. And so what happens when we leave that exalted situation, and sometimes it's, some one of the wonderful herbs or medicines that are out there that are available, people open their consciousness with them, and then they come down. And still those places that are vibrating in these painful lower frequencies have not been touched, have not been opened into. And as a result, the suffering is even more acute. And sometimes people give up the spiritual journey because it's too difficult to come down. And I mean that literally, because I see people doing all these spiritual things as another form of addiction, avoiding what is real and what is actually so. Not everybody, and not all the time. And not every spiritual retreat is an avoidance. But some of them do go too fast and too hard and too strong. And the system reacts to that. It says, I'm not ready for that. And it contracts back. And lots of times people aren't prepared for that. They don't know that that's going to come. And in my own experience, certainly there were times when I opened into places and it felt so natural and so real that that was just the way it is now. There was not going to be any leaving that. And I haven't found that to be true. What I found to be true is that my system gets an entire glimpse, a sense of what is actual and real, because it's in an environment that brings that forth. And then that which is not functioning in harmony with that comes forward into my awareness to be met and tended. Everybody wants to join the party. Every single cell of us wants to join the party. So the Rainbow Tribe, in its lighthearted liberation, is doing the work that is the transformation, the alchemical transformation of consciousness, such that essence embodies directly and clearly and purely as itself, comes alive and lives here. There's really nothing better to do with your life. And any progress that's made along the way makes the world a better place for everyone. Your struggles are appreciated. Your fear and loathing, your falling into the sinkholes, all appreciated. Because we are in this together. May these words and the word that they are riding upon, the pure, vibrant aliveness that is embodied here and expressing itself, may it reach into the cockles of your heart and help you recognize the real hope. That this is always at work, always optimizing itself. And that relaxing, letting be, staying conscious and aware, receptive and open, lets this have its way with us. Lets this love, lets this grace, let this consciousness of unity have its way. May peace prevail on earth.